Hi everyone, out here on a good Sunday morning, not really morning, afternoon time. It's about 11 o'clock right now. We're going to be heading out to Newport. So it's going to be probably about an hour drive or so right now to get out there. But we're going to be going to do that. Got everything loaded up. We're going to be doing some surf fishing today. So I got my surf rod right there, as well as my 9/6 casting rod, it's not a casting rod, it's still a spinning rod, but that's going to be the one that I'm going to be using to actively cast if I am actively casting today. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to be doing that. I'm still bringing all my lures and my swim baits and stuff like that. Just don't know if I'm going to actually do it. We'll see what I end up doing, because I think I'm going to be towards the Newport side that has a little bit more rocks on it. So, you know, structure means you're going to be snagging, and I don't really feel like losing a bunch of things. I don't necessarily mind losing the swim baits and the jig heads, but when you're talking about these Rapala lures and swim bait, or what is it, Lucky Craft and all those other kind of brands, just throwing away, you know, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, and then you're like, dang, I'm really just down $100 right now, you know. But at the same time, if they're producing. So it's one of those weird situations that it just kind of depends on what you want to do. But either way, I re-spooled my my surf rod. I had I had 15-pound braid on it, but I know braid sits on top of the water a little more than mono sinks a little more naturally. So the difficulty with that when you're in the surf is that the braid will get pushed out on the waves more than mono would. So I re-spooled that on this Penn Fierce right here, this Penn Fierce 4000, I believe. I spooled it up with 12-pound mono, I believe, and then I threw on a shock leader of 25-pound mono on top, and that'll be tied on to either a double drop shot rig or a fish finder rig. Kind of depends on what rig we'll be tossing out, but either way I have both of those. And then I have on my Night Sword, I think it's what it's called. It's a walleye rod technically, but it's an 8/6 rod with my Stratic 4000 down there. It's going to be, that's spooled up with 30-pound braid as well, and that's going to be using a mono leader, probably about a 10-pound leader as well on that. So that's pretty much it as far as what I'm going to be bringing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I missed that I changed up for the surf fishing this time, because I know last time it was really unproductive. So I think that's about all that I changed. Hopefully we get some pretty decent fish out there. Like I said, I have really bad luck in the surf personally. I've changed a few things. Hopefully it increases my odds a bit, but we'll see. Like I said, don't see surf produce as much just at the end of the day. But at least on the Newport side where I'm going to be, if I'm not catching too well on the surf, I can always walk out on the jetty. I do have to be a little bit careful on the jetty. Obviously there's rocks, it's slippery, don't want to fall, hurt myself. And if the waves are really, really bad, I'm not even going to go out on the jetty, because I just don't really feel like drowning or dying or anything like that, right? Because that's always something that really happens. People underestimate how aggressive the water is, and all it takes is for you to lose your footing, and then out of nowhere you're gone. So let's head out here. I'll catch you guys when I'm there, and hopefully it's not too crowded. Hopefully there's not a lot of kids and adults running around, because I know they can be, but since I'm next to the rocks, hopefully there's not as many people. So we'll see you when we get there. Hopefully y'all can see this, but I have my dropper loop swinging over there. It's actually going to be a double dropper. It's pre-tied. I'm not a big fan of the length of it, actually. It's kind of wonky. Would have rather pre-tied my own, but it's good enough. Waves do look like they're coming up a bit, so I might actually move my pole a touch. But other than that, we're probably pretty set as far as it casting, so let's just give it a go. All right. See if I can get a cast on this. I actually wanted to get that a little bit more left, so we're gonna retie that. Or rethrow, not retie. So let's get this in. The bait stayed, weight moved all right. So let's give it a toss back out and get it out more to the left. Oh, I definitely just saw a piece of my bait come off. But we'll leave it out there either way. Leave it right there for right now because I got to get my other rod set up. So let the drag out. Holes in the water. I got to reel it up just a touch to get some tension going. Tighten my drag a little too. Like I said, I know I saw the bait fly off a little bit, but I saw the other side still had bait. So we will leave it with tension. Set it and forget. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully we get some action going. You guys can see it. Looks pretty good right here. So what I did with this one, probably can't see it because I already have it out there, but there's a shock leader. This is just 12-pound mono on here into a 25-pound shock leader, like I said earlier. That's mainly because I am tossing out, not necessarily a heavyweight right now, because it's just 2 ounces, but it lets me get up to a heavier ounce so it doesn't snap the line when I throw it out there. Found that, or I read up, I can't say that I found, because I don't normally fish mono, I fish a break, is that if that's the case, you want to toss it out there with the shock leader so you can get out there. It actually looks like we're getting some nibbles right now, but it could just be a current too. Yeah, I think that's just going to be current. So let's give it just to tighten up that drag just a touch. There we go. There is some bounce that happens when the waves hit the PVC pipe. That's my fish rod holder. So it's just one of those things that you kind of got to keep in mind out. The surf is not that aggressive today. You have to keep in mind that these waves are rolling up on my rod holder, and I might have to move it in probably about half an hour or so as these waves start to come up. But let's go get my other rod rigged up and just keep an eye on this. Well, I tied up my other rod, but I'm gonna reel this guy in because I know I saw that bait fly off, and I have more bait that I can use. So let's get this reeled in, and then I'll rebait and get out there with my other rod. So right now, I'm either snagged or something, or we got a stingray. And if I were to take a guess, we're snagged. Or we got a stingray. Well, like I said, if I had to take a guess here, probably snagged on some structure. Yeah, walked it back, lost all tension. Might be some seaweed as well, which would mean it's a good idea to potentially cast more to my right, just because of that seaweed. Yep, bunch of seaweed, and lost both sides of my bait. So I actually have to go back to my little spot where I got my cooler and everything, because we lost both our baits and I only brought one. So let's go back over there, but I'll get this guy set up on here. So I just got a little fishtail here. This from a little lizard fish. We'll see how well this stays on, because I genuinely don't think it's going to stay on very well, but you never know. We're rebaited up, walking into the water. Like I said, apparently I was caught in some seaweed, super decent structure. Let this wave roll up past me, take a step out. Probably gonna eat another wave right now. After this wave, we'll set up a cast. There we go. All right, let's get this out there. I did move it a little bit to the right away from the jetty rock area. I do almost want it closer because I think it'll be more productive out there. But for the sake of trying to see if I can get out of that seaweed that I was in, maybe leave it out there and see how that goes. Seaweed's not necessarily a bad thing though, so because those are like a kelp bed and fish like to hide in those, especially little bass. But we'll leave this out there just how it is right now. Bait stayed right on. Tension seems all right. And we're gonna go over there to my other rod, and I tied on a jerkbait. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so here you guys can see this little swim bait that I'm tossing out. Waves are starting to come crashing down a little bit harder, or at least where I'm standing. Gonna move down a little bit because can't really even hold my posture all too well here because it's almost knocking me over. Not quite, but just almost. So let's just move over a tad. So you can see where these waves are breaking heavy here. So from my knowledge from reading the surf, if I could point out like right here, it's gonna start crashing over here because it gets more shallow, but over here, just right past here, it takes a little longer for it to crash. You see how right here comes in, goes out, got all this little sea foam, and the water actually comes back through right here. So, I mean, we got a little bit of a current rolling back throughout, but I'm really bad at reading the surf, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here. But from my understanding, I should want to fish about right here in this little trough area where there's kind of two waves rolling out. You can kind of see a cross section. See, I didn't move that far out, and waves are dramatically smaller right here. So let's give it a whirl right here for a couple casts, and then we'll go check out my baited rod, see if there's any action going on there. Does not look like it, but we can get out there and give it a shot. Honestly, whenever I've caught anything on the surf, it ended up being stingrays, so I will be very pleasantly surprised if we catch anything that's not a stingray. Especially on my baited rod, and the wave just kicked up my swim bait onto my rod. Cool. Go. My reel is definitely eating some splashes here, so I'm gonna have to be a little mindful of that. Don't want to get too much salt water in here. Probably gonna have to rinse out. Well, definitely gonna have to rinse out my reel after this. I'm getting okay casts, but it is, I can see it getting stopped and just floating in the air. So might be casting it just a little too high up. I could go out onto those jetties down there and cast if I wanted to, or even just right here. But for today, I'm not gonna do that. We're just gonna stick to the surf right here. Try to fish this little side right here, see what happens, see if we can get any action going. Except my hook might have got caught up. Yep, my hook caught up in my line. Got to fix that. So with that, we will reset my baited rod. Let's get over there and get that recasted. Okay, got my baited rod. Actually, gonna bump up the weight to 3 ounces. I found that it was getting dragged just a touch, so bumped it up by 1 ounce. Make sure it's getting held properly. Got this going now, and I'm gonna eat a wave. I can already see it. Here we go. Get that. And a little more left. There we are. Like where that fell. Tighten my drag, reel that in, touch and touch. Let it drop. Cool. And we're out. Back on my rod holder.
Now we got 3-ounce weight on there. Hopefully that's strong enough to hold in this current. Tighten that down just a touch so there's some little bit of tension going on. Looks all right. Yeah, I like how that looks. So let's get back to casting out with my swim bait, my jerk bait, whatever you want to call it. I always mess up what it's called on. But yeah, that definitely looks all right. Tension looks good on it. So it's not rolling through too much with the waves. There's not a lot of bouncing. So it looks like that is probably the right weight that I want. Now, it's just a matter of fish are there. So let's leave it there and see what happens. Give this a couple throws for about 10-15 minutes. Honestly, if this doesn't produce anything here in a little bit, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tie a fish finder rig on this. Keep it turned. And I don't know if I'll necessarily actively cast it or not, but potentially actively cast it and leave it out there. But I think it's going to be potentially a better choice of action right now. We'll just see what happens. Okay, well, we're back to my beta rod. It took a little bit of a tumble by a wave, but it's all right. It happens sometimes when you're out here on the surf. So we're gonna reel this guy in, recast it out. I actually switched my other rod, the one that was set up with the swim bait. I went ahead and switched it out to a fish finder rig, while this one has the double dropper loop. I just think a fish finder rig's probably gonna work out a little better right now based off the conditions, but even better, have one of each out. So let's reel this guy in. Hopefully the bait's still there, so we don't have to rebait. And that is the case. So let's get this guy back out there again. And then we'll go to my other one. What I will do is I'll just cast the other one, but I'm gonna hold it. Since I know that other rod, one, I don't have a rod holder for the other one, but also that rod's a little shorter. So even in a rod holder, since my rod holders are a little short on the short side of them, the waves will actually push it in. So let's give this a little cast, see what we do. Oh, that went terribly. Let's recast that. I don't know what happened there, but definitely gonna need to recast that. That went real sideways. So, oh, big wave. Trying not to get a tumble again. Let's reel this in real quick. That wave. Reel, 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 reel. Get this going. Cool. We're back. So that was just a real bad cast. So let's get that casted back out. All right, there we go. Load that up. Oh, I threw that really straight up in the air. I don't necessarily like that cast either. And the reason being, it's just still too far to the right. I'm aiming too far to the right. I'm not aiming left at all. It's literally just going, well, it's bad. It's going straight. So I'll turn my body and we'll cast the other way. Let's just get this guy back from the wave. Here we go. Cool. Got this guy back again. Everything's still there. So let's turn a little bit. Kind of blocking the cast probably, but turn a little bit. There we go. That's a lot better. A little more left. Exactly where I want it. So looks like that. Drag do its thing. Just loosen the drag. I'll have to reel it in right now. Just a touch to get that tension back to make sure it's on bottom contact. But we did that so that way I know it's on bottom. Put that in the rod holder. Then we'll reel in a touch. Okay. I think that's about right there. Give it a little bit more. Wow, that's good right there. Yep. Looks good there. So we'll leave it there. Hopefully get a bite soon. We've been here for about an hour and a half with nothing, so hopefully we get some action going. Hopefully it's get something. I need a little bit of something on this surf fishing because I've had zero luck in I think like 6 surf fish trips, and I'm sure it's me reading the surf wrong. But other than getting out here and doing it and kind of figuring it out on my own, I've done YouTube, internet searches, and it just doesn't really work out that well for me. So if anyone has any tips, I'll definitely take them. I think I've said that more than once, but I will keep saying it until I get good at this. Because I definitely am not good at it. I can do pier fishing all right, I can do bank fishing all right, but something about the surf just keeps throwing me off. And I'm sure it's all the waves. It's not used to being so much in so much heavy current, as well as how, where, depth I can be, and all those other smaller but important details. So yeah, we'll leave this rod out. I think it got a good distance. It looks like it's got tension. It doesn't look like it's doing some different side swept, which is always great. So let's grab my other rod. I'm gonna cast the other rod, probably a little bit to the right, and then just hold it. So let's go get that rod. Okay, got my fish finder rig set up. I'm gonna try to cast pretty much straightforward where I can see the waves kind of move around here. This one goes this way, that one goes that way. So I'm hoping in this little middle part I can find something. Maybe. Don't really know. That's what we're gonna try. Hopefully it produces something. I only got about 20 minutes left now. So we're on the fish finder rig right here. And that's just 1 ounce. But I will be holding this one because I highly doubt that 1 ounce will be strong enough for it to hold to the bottom or near bottom, which is what you'd want to do, but you know, it's all right. With 1 ounce, I could get some pretty, honestly, decent distance. Tighten that up and we'll just hold this one. So we'll just talk about what we're gonna do probably for the next couple videos. So temperatures are warming up hopefully kind of soon, and that is supposed to be better for surf conditions. Whether that be true or not, I have yet to find out. I haven't fished in actual spring or summer, so we'll see if that actually is true. Ideally, I'm gonna try to get going with a group of people that know what they're doing in the surf, because I definitely don't, and that would be nice for me. But I think they say the summer like you can catch perch all year round, pretty much is what they say. But as far as croaker, well, even croaker too, but corbinas, halibuts, definitely going to be a warmer weather kind of situation. I've got a corbina or two on the surf, or I mean on the pier, and then I've gotten little, like real little, like baby halibuts off the pier before. So they are around. It's just not the time of the season to catch bigger ones. So, but you know, we'll just hold this up. If I feel any action, we try to set the hook. So that's kind of the plan. I know trout season's starting up too. One of my buddies got a cabin up in Big Bear area, which I'm planning on doing a trip up there with my cabin, or with my kayak. I just haven't gotten around to it. I need to do a couple maintenance things on my truck, which I should be doing soon. Should be getting it set up and finished relatively soon, so that'll be nice. Don't have to worry about that. But that's kind of the plan for the next couple of videos. See if we do anything. I have way more success on the pier, which is why I always want to go onto the pier, but I never learn how to fish the surf without fishing the surf, obviously. So that's why I'm here today. That's why I've been shooting a couple of videos in the surf. I think my next one will also be in the surf, but I think we'll probably, I don't know if I stay to Huntington or if we stay over here in Newport, because that's where we are today, is Newport Beach. I also might just try to bring one rod and actually walk along the beach, because when I come surf fishing all the times, I stay probably within a, I don't know, half mile, maybe 3/4 mile distance at most. And mainly being as I set up one rod and I want to be able to watch it. So that's one reason. Second reason is that's what I end up doing because I have enough gear. So I think next time what I might do is kind of do a walking video, just bring this one rod, the 8.6 rod. I'm looking at getting another 10-foot rod with the same kind of action, because I know that other rod that I have is definitely a big rod with some pretty, meant for heavy weight. And I know everyone that I kind of talk to, they say you either toss like a Carolina rig or a fish finder rig with like a 1 ounce or 2 ounce over here, and you should be all right with that. So probably walk up along the shoreline and do that. Don't bring my bike, just bring one rod and fish it that way, because that's what kind of people say is a good way to fish the surf, and that's not what I normally do. So, you know, give that a go in a little bit and see if we can catch some fish that way. But right now, we just do this. Okay, so what we didn't show is that I got snagged, so I had to retie everything. So I just throw on a quick fish finder, put a little cut bait, head of a fish, cast that out there. This is gonna be the last cast of the day and last thing I'm gonna set out. So let's launch it and see what happens. I did not like that cast at all. So let me relaunch. Actually, drag's too loose is what happened there. This drag's still too loose actually. So let's reel that in and try that again, because that was a terrible test. I also found a 3 ounce weight, so I actually have the 3 ounce weight this time. I don't know what I just reeled in. A bag. Awesome. So let me, I guess, clear this litter off my line and the ocean. And then after that, I'll recast. I guess, did my good deed for the day at least. I'll grab that right now. But hopefully I casted that outside of the water. I threw that outside of the water. No, I didn't. Where'd it go? Here it is. Let me grab that. There we go. There we go. There we are. Get back in there. Recast. Cool. Drag is good. Get that. Let these kind of little turbulent waves go. All right, there we are. All right. I'm okay with that cast. Swap this back. So I decided to put this back further for a few different reasons, actually. Keeping it up higher up here gets me away from the waves. Let's make sure we got the trash while we're here. So higher, away from the waves. Ideally, waves aren't going to pull my line as much. So let's tighten that not to drag the line a little bit. Let's loosen the drag actually. There we go. What, a couple clicks, get some tension going. There we go. Pick up this trash. And then we're just gonna leave that out for about the next 20 minutes. I'm gonna pack up my stuff, pack up my things, get myself basically cleaned up, and as I'm cleaning, hope that this line ends up getting something. If this line does get something, I switched up the hook, switched up the bait. This is a pretty big bait, pretty big hook. So if this does hit something, hopefully it's something big. But I always find that fishing with smaller hooks, smaller bait works out better. You get a lot more productive bites than when you go big. Just ends up not really getting anything, but we'll see what happens. Well, that is all for today. I'm gonna reel in this last rod. Doubt that I got anything, but we're gonna reel it in. And that's it for today. Time's up. So go home, catch some dinner, do some homework. But overall, not a bad day. Nice out, always better than being at work or stuck at home. So let's just reel this in and get going home. Hopefully next time we're out here on the surf, we do better.